Welcome back to the Blood Prison Shakedown. We've made it back to the studio. We've had a couple postponements, but we're here, and we'll get into all that later. First, I want to talk to my special guest, Josh Kniseley and Kim Walsh of Haunt Talk. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. Haunt Talk. First, I want to apologize for the postponement. We were set to do this, that was like 2 weeks ago, I think. And I had a death in the family, unfortunately. And my mother-in-law passed away. Well, it wasn't the day we were supposed to do it, but the day we were supposed to do it, it was the day after. Yeah. So it was a whole thing, and I felt horrible, but, what are you going to do,
Yeah, it's a little more important. So
yeah, but I appreciate you guys being as gracious as you were to come back and do this, because I just felt horrible because you guys were like, yeah, we're on our way. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I can't do it. No, you guys were great about it, and I appreciate it because it was, kind of a rough time for the family and everything, but very grateful for you to have you guys here on the Shakedown. So we've been talking a lot about reviewers the last few, and I know on one of the places we put the podcast, I saw one of you had commented. It was like, yes, it's because I'm like, I can't remember the name of the damn reviewers. I can't, it's escaping me. And you guys, it's us, it's Haunt Talk, Spirit Light Productions, right? And I was just like, that's right. That's who it was. And I was asking her, I'm like, who was it? And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, no help. But so thank you guys again for coming on. And you guys got to have it. I don't know how it works on your end as far as like reviewing haunts, but I wonder, like, to get into it, like your background. For instance, you guys ever acted at haunts before?
Technically, I have.
Okay.
It's funny, we were kind of talking about this on the way up, is what kind of got me into it. There used to be a haunted hayride that was like maybe at most 5 minutes from my house. Mm-hmm. And I acted there. I was terrified of actual haunted houses when I was a kid, but I loved haunted hayrides. And then after acting at one, it was like, I don't know, after that, I just kind of slowly became more and more obsessed with it. And it was to the point where it's like, I'm going to all of these. And at that point, when I started doing it, because it was actually, weirdly enough, with a different Kim.
Okay.
Which was weird. But I was like, well, we go to these things all the time. So I'm like, and at that point, I really didn't see any other YouTubers making video reviews. There was things like Scare Factor and that. But I'm like, I want to just see if anyone would be interested in it, because I don't know.
Yeah, so you acted in a hayride.
Yeah, it was a hayride. It doesn't exist anymore. Don't even remember the name of the hayride, but yeah, it was presented by like a local club that's around where I live, which is just Salem, Ohio.
So you've never acted in a haunt?
I've never acted in a haunted house. I actually was terrified of them when I was little as well.
That's amazing. That just baffles me, because I talked you guys up. It's like, you guys are like the ones that, there's a few others too, but I mean, like, that I think you guys actually get it. You kind of know what you're talking about. You really are thorough in your reviews and everything. So I'm like, they have to be former actors or makeup, costumes, anything. I
actually always had a passion for costume design and stuff like that. Like, I will say this, playing with my Barbies, I would always make my own clothes and things like that. And I would always do like these big productions with my dolls and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of where my little background is I always was like really liked the drama and the costumes and things like that. So
I gotcha.
I think for me, well, because I've always been interested in film and stuff like that, because that's what the YouTube channel started was short films. So like a lot of people think our YouTube channel is Haunt Talk, but it's actually Spirit Light Productions, because we do more than Haunt Talk, although that's been the focus. But also kind of a personality trait of mine, if it's something I like, I get like obsessed with it. And I think that's why like Haunted House is something I liked. And like if it's a subject that I'm into, I get really into it. And that's why we made the first documentary about a decade ago, is because I'm like, I love haunted houses so much, I want to know more about what makes them tick. So it was kind of almost more of a thing for myself as much as it was for a thing I wanted to show other people.
Right.
So yeah, that was kind of just, it's always just been this interest. And I've always loved Halloween and stuff like that. And I love horror movies. And it's always just been this way to actually get to like live that a little bit. So.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's the best way to really see how they tick is to, just go ahead and act them. When you guys should come and guest act one of these nights and just,
Yeah, we would like
Jump
to.
in.
Because there's been a couple places that have told us to do that. The only reason we haven't is because we're trying to get all these reviews in and stuff. And so
Yeah.
it's like, if we go act at a place, that's a night that we can't go to one. But I think I would really enjoy, because again, it's been so long
Yeah.
since I've done it. Like, I think I would enjoy just scaring the crap out of people for a night. I think that it would be.
Oh, you would. Definitely,
yeah,
for sure.
I think that it would be cathartic.
They love, especially when they come to this one, because they're already kind of freaked out coming in here. You know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
I think was
Posing building.
Yeah,
Oh,
it does. It helps.
Yeah.
You know, it's the star of the show.
Yeah.
You know, for the most. I mean, you know, the actors and of course the warden's widow, but I mean, the building is what really put, you know, this haunt on the map. So people are freaked out by it. It's really haunted. That helps.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, when did you guys start like reviewing?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, the first season, which was when my other friend Kim, well, we used to be good friends. That was, man, when was the first season? Would have been pretty soon after I graduated high school. So I think it was like, I almost have to go back and look. I think it's like 2013 or something like that, probably.
Yeah, I want to say it's around.
And then
that.
me and you actually started what it is now. A few years after that, probably on 2015, 2016. I think is when me and you started doing it. Yeah, so. Yeah. Because this will be our 10th season this year, but there was like a year or two in between season 2 and 3, where there was none.
Yeah, we did have a little hiatus there for a while.
Yeah.
So what jump up first? What was the very first haunt you guys reviewed? Do you remember?
No, I'd have to. Yeah, man, I'm actually not sure. We've been to so many. I mean, I'm sure it was like something along. I know the first season we did things like Agron School. It's like more like closer ones and stuff like that. Haunted Hoochie. Because I know Haunted Hoochie was one of the first ones that got quite a few views, at least for a smaller channel like ours. It was like the first like review that did over 10,000. I know like that.
Probably Canfield was probably one of them.
Yeah, probably more like local stuff.
Yeah.
And then in the later seasons is when we started going further and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Gotcha. Though you've done that many, you don't remember the very first one. That's.
I was going to haunted houses religiously before we did reviews. Like that was the thing. Like even way before I knew her, like me and my cousins, it would be like, oh, like the first one that would open September, we were like, oh, we got to get to that one, and like, it wasn't just October for me. Like we would go and then,
maybe it is 100 Acre Manor.
It might have been 100 Acre Manor. Honestly, that might be the first one. God, that's bothering me. I want to go look it up now. I'm going to refrain.
You're going to go drag back all the way through your reviews and try and find
Well, they're all in playlists, thankfully, so I could just go Haunt Talk Season 1 and just
there you go.
But yeah, it has to be probably 100 Acre Manor.
They usually open they're one of the first ones that open in our area, so we usually go there, even if we don't even have anything else going around there. We're
the first weekend of September they open.
Yeah, they usually open the first weekend in September, so we're like, oh, haunted season, let's go.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, I'm sure you can figure that out and let me know, because I was just curious on that. I'm like, 'cause you've done it this long, and you seem to do a lot every year. It's like, what was the first one? What got you in? Like, what made you decide, you know what, I want to go to these haunts and give my opinion? Publicly.
Well, kind of like what he said is like, you keep going to them all the time and you just see different things, and you just, you want to tell people, word of mouth works wonders. So it's like, why don't we tell more people about like this really cool haunted house that we saw, and just tell them, hey, this is really cool. If you like sets and designs, this is really awesome. If you love the actor experience, you should check that out. So I think it kind of just went from that is...
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, I like the aesthetic side of it because, I really like production. Like I said, I like making the short films and that. And I also love haunted houses, so it was a good way to combine it. But also, it just feels good to basically make someone aware of a place they didn't know of before. Like when we were at Wells Township, I know one year, and some people came up to us, and then we were pretty early on in the season. This was like when we were doing season 5 or 6, and these people came up and they're like, hey, this is really awesome to see you guys here. I wouldn't have known of this place if it wasn't for your channel.
Oh,
and
that's
so
cool.
like just getting people to actually come up to us and say that. And again, it's not like we're a huge channel. We don't get recognized a lot. We get recognized some places, but it's not like a big thing. But it just feels good when someone does like say that, like just that one person found out about a cool haunt that maybe they wouldn't have known about before.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of really good ones out there that aren't world renowned. Like I'd say the Blood Prison for sure is like world renowned at this point, but like there's a lot of other ones.
Maybe.
I think like I don't know. I would think
so.
that it is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever mentioned it to anyone and them not have at least heard of it. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's funny because I've had a lot of people come to review, and like I've got a handful of guys like you guys, and you guys didn't come here for like maybe a season or two that I don't remember, or at least you didn't reach out until last season. But I always put you guys on that list. I'm like, no, these guys are cool. Scare Factor, like, because the Scare Factor's got like different teams.
Yeah, they have a bunch of them.
And I've had like I think 2 or 3 of their different teams, and they've been fair about everything. And of course, Ohio Valley Haunts, they come through every year. And you guys, that's usually like the 3. Oh, and I think there's one called Haunt Tours. They might come through. I think they come through every year. But then I get these ones that I have no clue who they are. You know, and they're just, you know, and they want to get in for free. And normally I'm okay with that if I know you know what I mean, or upgrading you. Oh, well, we bought tickets, we're coming in. Okay, well, let me upgrade you. You know what I mean? Throw you in the VIP line or whatever. But then I get people that come in and just start like name dropping, like, you know, other haunts, and well, we were at Netherworld, and I was just like, don't come in here then. You know what I mean? I don't want to be compared to them. You know what I mean? Because it's Netherworld, you know? And that's what actually happened. Like, somebody came and was like, we just flew in from Atlanta. We were at Netherworld. Now we want to review you guys. I'm just like, oh, gosh, no pressure. All right, you know. But I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Oh, I work for a magazine in Los Angeles. And this was kind of what I was talking about before on, I can't remember which one. But it was like, we just got to get a reviewer in here. We got to get some reviewers in. I'm probably going to have some more in, but I want to get perspectives on how you guys do it and what goes into it. So when you're going into a haunted attraction, do you guys have a plan? Like going in is like, this is what we're looking for, or do you just like, is it all off the cuff? How do you guys do it?
I would say it's kind of like we just experience it, and if something really catches our eye, we just kind of keep it back there and stuff like that. Like, I'm always looking at everything when we're in the haunted house, and I kind of keep a little like a little, almost like a little notebook in my head, like, you know, oh, that was really cool, or that was really neat, or you know, oh, here's some dead space, probably need to fix that or something like that.
Right.
But, yeah, I just kind of like experience it and, you know, try to remember the best parts and the worst parts and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like one thing that we definitely keep in mind with it, and this kind of goes to what you're saying about people, like how you said they came from like Netherworld, and you're like, oh, you know, compare it to us, is for one, not all haunts are created equal, and that's fine. Like, we would never go to a backyard haunt and expect it to be the caliber of this, and that shows in our reviews.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Just because we might give Blood Prison a 10 doesn't also mean Joe Schmo's haunt's not also a 10, because if the actors were great, they used like what they have to the best of their ability, and like, it's hard to describe that feeling. Like, there's the haunts you go to that you're like, they're doing this for the money.
Yeah.
Which I do feel like I see that less and less, because I feel like those haunts don't last very long, because it seems like it's such a competitive scene anymore that it's like if you're not kind of showing up, it kind of seems like, I don't know, especially in Ohio at least, because there's an ungodly amount of haunted houses in Ohio. Where if you're not like at least having passion for your haunt, I just feel like you're not gonna last. But yeah, I mean, every haunt I guess is just different, so we're not looking for the same thing in each one. But like the things we are looking for in basically all of them are just, do they have heart? How are the actors? Are the actors actually trying to scare you? Are they interacting with you? That kind of thing, because that's always within control, but not everyone has $1 million to blow on like a set, like something like what is like the Haunted Hoochie or something, how they're known for having every room's like $1 million, and it's like, that's awesome, but you can't expect that. If that's what your expectancy is when you're going to every single haunt and you're reviewing based off that, you're not a good reviewer. Because it's unrealistic.
And I think that's what a lot of them do, and that's why they get like a bad like reputation, because it's like there's a few that I'm like, you know what? It's not about bad reviews. It's about so you're from a certain area, so that area is going to take precedence. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? That's always the beef I've had. Not beef, but like internal beef, I guess you could say. It's like, okay, so you're from, you know, Cincinnati, so of course the Dent Schoolhouse is going to be number one in your category every time, and they do it every year. Oh, Dent Schoolhouse again, and I'm not shitting on the Dent Schoolhouse. It's a great haunt. I love it. I'm just saying, like, that's what a lot of reviewers do. So when it's like, look, if you're going to give me a fair shake, come on in. If you're not, you know,
Right.
don't waste my time. You know what I mean? Because what I hate more than anything is reviews. Not you guys and what you do, but I don't review things because, like, to me, it's like we put a lot of work in this.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And, like, you know, my friends at Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse, Nightmare Cleveland, Fear Columbus, of course, Haunted Hoochie, we put a lot of work. My guys across town, Trail of Nightmares. I mean, those guys, I can name drop all day. They all bust their ass and from everywhere, you know. So then you get one guy that, and I'm not saying like reviewers like you guys, but I'm saying like even just a review from some jackass on the street who just
like a Facebook or Google, whatever.
Yeah, and then they just totally shit on everything. I wasn't scared. I didn't like the actors, and it's just like, well, those actors are, you know, it's like that's a person. You're really shitting on them, and they read them. My actors read all the reviews. They read all the comments. And then they come to me and they're just like, do you see what this guy wrote? It's like, oh yeah, that's cool. You know what I mean? Or like, this dickhead here said that we were, you know, I'm just like.
Yeah, we really actually appreciate that when we put up a review and like the actors will actually comment on there and be like, hey, that was me. Or like if we mentioned something. And it kind of gives me goosebumps sometimes. I'm like, oh, look, they saw it. You know, it's like, it makes me happy that they saw that we recognized
And you guys
them.
are great about giving constructive criticism. And other ones I know are great. It's like, hey, this was really good. They're a little bit lacking here, but that helps us because it's like, that's not a bad... Because, you know, we can't see everything.
Yeah.
You know?
And that is something that we have always really tried to do is focus on constructive criticism and don't let reviews be scathing because just like you said, at the end of the day, these are people and like... It's one thing to give like a movie a scathing review, you know, because it's like, yeah, they are still people, but they're people making generally bazillions of dollars, whatever.
Right.
And they're not like something that's local, but for especially like smaller haunts, like some of these bigger review things and stuff like that, or I don't know if people are being unreasonable, it can be really damaging to them. When it's like, but constructive criticism is like really important. I mean, there's actually been a couple reviews that we have filmed that I'm watching it back, and this has only happened like twice, and I'm like, we got to refilm this. We just went in too hard. Like the things we were saying weren't untrue, but the way we were presenting them was too harsh, just too harsh. So we had to refilm.
Like, oh my gosh, you sound so mean. Let's do it again.
And I think through the years of doing it too, we've developed a way to just be a little bit our dialect, be a little more careful on how we state things, like while still being very fair and being honest. Not being to the point where it is almost like insulting to a haunted house that might not be that great.
Sure.
And that's another thing, and that's one of the reasons for most haunts we don't state, because I know a lot of the reviewers, and I've heard this from people before, that they're reviewers so they can get in places for free. Most haunted houses, we do not tell them we're coming.
Yeah.
Because
and that's good.
Nothing's more awkward than when like it's the nicest person in the world. They let you in for free. They gave you free merch, and then like, but you got to be honest. And like the haunted house is still a 6. Like you guys were awesome. Yeah. But there's all these problems, which is fine because there's been a lot of haunted houses that have actually reached out to us and been like, we actually, you know, have taken what you said in consideration. We'll go back maybe 2 years later, and it's a completely different experience. It's happened multiple times.
Sure.
Yes.
Which
I listen to a lot of what you guys have to say, and the Haunt Tour guys, Ohio Valley. I listen to all of them, you know, because it's like, I just want a fair shake because it only helps us. All my actors, my crew, we tell everybody, look, let me know if you have an idea. Yeah. I can't think up everything. You know what I mean? It's like I do everything I can, you know, and the team, like I got the design team and the build team. We all throw our hat in the ring. We all get together and we just start hashing out ideas. What do we want to do here? You know, and it's, you know, it can get fantastical at times where it's just like, we can do this and people are falling from the cell blocks, you know. Okay, slow down.
Yeah. It's like, how are we going to realistically do that?
Yeah, exactly. You know, so how would that really happen? Now, realistically, you know, how is that going to work? But like the constructive criticism, if you will, is gold, because you might not think of something. And a lot of people, their egos will get involved and be like, I think of everything and I do, they don't know what they're talking about. You got to look at it from their perspective though, because you're looking at it from your perspective. There's people that come in, it's like your actors got to be top notch, or your sets have got to be top notch, or your props or your makeup's got to be out of this world. Really needs to be all of it. You know what I mean? And today's world of this industry anyways. If you're going to, I don't want to say compete, but if you're going to be at a high level, a Netherworld, a 13th Gate, Fear Columbus, you know what I mean? It's like, they're up here. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you're going to be in that realm, you kind of got to be up there too. You know what I mean? So when you hear something from like you guys, it's always good to, it's good to see it from a different perspective, I guess is what I'm getting at.
For sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's helpful, you know, because I know there's people out there like you guys that will do that. And, you know, it'll help out, like you said, in the experience and in what you plan on doing, you know, for the following years. You know what I mean? I had an idea to do this, but what they said makes sense. Maybe we'll try it this way. You know what I mean? It doesn't hurt at all. So what goes into, how do you determine what haunts you're going to review? Like, do you guys make a list? All right, we did these last year. We're going to do these this year. Do you have one that's new? We've never been there. Let's check it out. What goes into your process of getting there?
That's pretty much it. Yeah. So we'll like kind of go with, you know, well, we did these ones this year, so maybe we should try to go to this area this year. Mm-hmm. You know, we haven't gone to these ones in a while. Right. Maybe we should check them out, see if they have anything new. You know, we like to try to go to different places. If people suggest a location for us, we try to do those as well. Yeah. We always have like our one far away area that we like to go to.
Always at least one, yeah.
Yeah, at least one little like far away weekend trip that we like to do. Like last year, it was like the Maryland and.
What was last year? Last year was Kentucky. 2 years ago
Kentucky.
was Maryland. Yeah.
Where'd you go in Maryland?
Oh, God. We went to Markov's Haunted Forest.
Was that not the shit? Is that place amazing? I loved it.
I thought it was really beautiful.
Yeah.
It was really cool. There's a couple areas, but for the most part, it was really awesome. Weirdly enough, our favorite ended up from that trip being, what was it? Laurel's
House of Horrors.
Yeah, we went to that one too. Yeah.
That one was really cool.
Never had even heard of that place, because that is one thing we will do is if we're going to be driving like over 4, 6, 8 hours, whatever, I want to make sure that we're going to at least one haunt that's like a big name one. Mm-hmm. It's kind of our own experience, but we also look for a bunch of other little ones around it because we don't want to travel 8 hours to go to one haunt, basically.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the big ones there, of course, was Markov. That was the reason we went, is that was a big bucket list one for mine. Then Laurel's was just a little random one we found. I didn't even know anything about it. And then what was
That's the movie theater, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nevermore.
Oh, yeah, Nevermore. That was awesome,
Nevermore,
too.
Yeah, that ending.
One with the bazillions of animatronics everywhere. Look, what was that one called?
Oh, Bennett's Curse.
Bennett's Curse. Yeah, that was another big name one.
Yeah.
That I had heard about since I was a kid from like the Discovery Channel ones. That one was more animatronic focused than anything else, which isn't my favorite. I think animatronics are cool, but I prefer atmosphere and actors. Those are the things that I look for the most, which Laurel's had that out the wazoo.
Oh my gosh, the actors there were just...
Yeah. And just
so
beautiful.
Good. And it was just so pretty.
Well, and the fact that it's in that theater and you're walking like...
So unique and cool.
Yeah, you're walking kind of slanted. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I'm trying to wrap my brain around walking on a slant right now.
It's so weird.
And it is, but it helps.
Yeah,
and we were like...
It does. I love
so we're going to slant the floors when we get back. Everybody get in there and start slanting floors just for no reason. You know, because it was really cool. It's disorienting.
Yes.
I love, and I describe it, it's a weird way to describe it, but it's texture in haunted house. And what I mean by that is that like things that are just makes the experience just slightly different. Maybe be a little something interactive, like maybe they make you crawl through something, and usually of course we'll have another way around it, or just that the slanted floors, just something that makes it slightly different than the normal.
Yeah.
It's amazing how something so small can really be like, oh, that was different and unique, and it makes it more memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely like that.
Yeah.
We went to East Coast Haunters Convention like this past, what is that, April, I think is when it was?
I think so, yeah.
And they had Laurel's, and they had Markov's,
yeah.
And then they had Penhurst, which was spectacular.
Yeah, that place was cool.
Oh, man. And then they had, what was the other one? Oh, they had Bates Motel, which was pretty killer. And then there was another one. There was a fifth one. What was it? Oh, Legends of the Fog.
Okay,
you guys heard that one?
I have heard of it. Yeah, we haven't been to that one, but I think we went to all the other ones you just mentioned. But yeah.
Well, it was funny because the convention was in Philadelphia. Well, outside of Philadelphia, it wasn't like in Philadelphia proper, but it was close to Philadelphia. Markoff's is like, that was the last haunt of the night. And that's like a 3-hour drive to Philadelphia. So we were just like, and we didn't get out of there till like maybe 11:30, midnight. So we didn't get back to Philly until like, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. We're all like just exhausted.
Yeah.
But it was well worth it. We had the most fun at Markoff's because it was like, it just seemed like it was never going to end.
It was
huge. It
huge.
just kept going
It
and
was
going.
huge, yes.
And it's in that valley. You're going up and down, and the sets were just phenomenal. I was just like blown away. That was like the first haunt I'd been to in so long where I was just like, we were like kids again.
Yeah.
Like as soon as we went in and went into those little tunnel things, we were just like, oh my God, this is awesome. It just felt like you were like, I don't know, back in Disneyland or Universal, you know?
The scale of that place is definitely very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had like a town, like this, like a Old West type town. Did you guys go through that?
You mean like the...
Yeah.
That's
before you went to the trail.
Yeah, because when you go, when it's not like a special event, it's cool because you don't really wait in a line. You get like a number, and so you can just gallivant around, go get drinks, go get food, and they have like games and stuff you can play. And then there's a thing where like your group time is up, you go, and then you wait in a little line to get dispersed in.
Oh, cool!
Love it when haunts are able to do that. That is
my
cool. favorite thing.
Oh yeah. Well, they also had they did this thing where in the town we walked in. Like we walked through the first or second scene, and this dude jumped up from like behind the saloon bar or whatever, and he shot me, and I was like, oh, you got me, just kind of playing along with it, and then they grabbed me and like take me to the back, and I was just like, what's up? And this girl comes out, and she's wearing like this Old West type clothes. She's like, I'm gonna draw a bullet hole in your head because we killed you, and I was just like, okay. So they did that, and that was kind of cool.
Actually, forgot. So is that? I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about.
I forgot
about that town.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah, because you get on like a little hay wagon and they take you back.
They take you back to that. Yeah, it's that back part.
I completely forgot about that part. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the entrance town with all the vendors and stuff.
Oh no. That part was still pretty cool.
Yeah.
They had the zip line thing there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they had they fed everybody because that was like a part of the tour. We weren't on the buses, we drove, but they said that because I guess it's a farm, like it's an actual farm. So like all the food that they feed you is like raised there, whether it be
and it's like good food.
Oh my God, it was so good. One of the best burgers I had in a while.
Yeah, because
they were serving burgers and everything. It's like, oh my God, it was so good. So there was like so many different layers, and then we got out and we went through the forest, and then at the end there was that big like scene with the plane and the fire truck and the ambulance, and I was just like, what in the hell?
Oh yeah.
And now they had like the DJs up there, and there was all this music playing. It was like, what?
It's kind of like a giant junkyard almost.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
it's really cool.
It was pretty cool. We got out. We were like, can we go again?
Right.
We were like, can we just go one more time? They're like, no, sorry.
I know. Sometimes you want to do that because you want to go see. You're like, I know I missed stuff. I want to go see it again.
I do. I will say that is what I refer to as a workout haunt.
Yeah.
When you get to the top of some of those hills, you're like, please don't scare me. I will have a heart attack.
Yeah. Give me a minute. Let me catch my breath.
Because there were times where we like totally lost the group, and I was like, are we even going the right way?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they had like those boardwalks with all the water. I mean, dude, it was just phenomenal. Cool. It was really cool. But yeah, the Laurels one was great too. We sat there and talked about these haunts that we went to, and we're like, Maryland. Who would have thought? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But they brought it, man. They brought it.
That Nevermore haunt, that was one of the weirdest and spectacular endings we have ever seen.
I've never seen anything like that's in a haunt before.
It was the strangest thing, and we still are like kind of like wanting to know how they did it because we're just like, it was so freaky and weird. It was just.
Do you not want to ruin it, or are you going to tell me about it?
Well, I don't
ruin
know.
it.
Yeah,
if you're watching, don't want to ruin. So basically, it's this giant room that's kind of like man-eater plant themed.
Yeah.
And they have a laser, like you know how a lot of haunts will do like the fog thing, and you can't see. Well, they did that on the ceiling, and above that, they have these giant, I don't know, umbrella monsters that fly down from the ceiling and grab your head and try to yank you up.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, because the first character comes over and she's like, come here, look at this. And all of a sudden, I look at Kim and this giant thing just goes whoop, around her head and goes up. I'm like, and then like the whole way, there's a ton of these things and you have to like zigzag through this room.
Killer.
And the whole time, because you can't see it because of that laser wall.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you'll see coming down like the hand from Zelda or something to come and get you. And you're like, oh no, and you fall to the floor. But they're like soft, so they don't hurt when they hit you, but it still scares the crap out of you.
That's awesome.
It was so weird.
So I don't know who controls those things or exactly how they're deployed, but just never seen anything like that on.
Yeah. That'll end it good.
Yeah, and we were like, the haunt was like before that was probably like a 7, and that brought it up to like an 8 or a 9. Or just that ending, and I'm like,
that ending was
cool.
just wow. Yeah,
that's amazing. We went to a haunt in Nashville Nightmare. This is probably back in like 2017 or 18, one of those years. HauntCon was going on, and it was like that convention used to travel. It would be in like, I remember one year it was in Alabama, then it was in Tennessee, then it was New Orleans, Texas. It kind of went all over. But it was in Tennessee and Nashville this one year, and we went down there for it, and they opened Nashville Nightmare up, and they had this, I want to say it was like a library scene, if I remember right. And there was this girl, and she was kind of just wearing like an old dress, you know what I mean? Like a librarian-looking, older librarian dress, but it was a younger girl. And she just like, she raised her arms up, and then she just floated. Oh. And I was just like, what the hell? And so I'm like, we're all like, everybody in our, because it was a haunt convention, so we're all like
trying to figure out
how the hell she had something attached to her that just raised her up, and like, we've got to do that, because that was really neat. Cool. And then this past year at Trans World, they had one where it was, I think it was the darkness, because we did 2, but they had the zip line guys on top of this one room, where they were all like harnessed up and they were just flying all around the ceiling. We're like, whoa, it was pretty cool. So it's definitely leveling up for sure.
Yeah, some of the stuff I've seen like in the POVs and stuff are crazy. We haven't been able to go to like the Darkness or any of those big ones around that area yet. Mm-hmm. Eventually we plan on going to those, but.
So do you get any backlash from customers or other attractions when you're given an honest review and they might not like it?
Technically, I will say it's rare. There was one big one, which I'm not even going to say this person name. I will off camera. That did threaten to sue us unless we took the video down. And
threatened to sue? Wow.
Hilarious. But the video hadn't even... Now, I will say the review was fair, but that was one of the reviews that kind of made me learn to say things maybe sugar-coated, but still get the point across.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say we were overtly mean or insulting, but we were very honest about this haunt. Mm-hmm. And this haunt doesn't have an excuse because the people that run it, they can afford to do better.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's just the funniest thing, though, at the end of it, when I finally took the video down, like, it's not worth my time. Like, you can't, that's not how this works. You can't sue me for this, but I know what you do, and I don't feel like being bullied by you.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, I'll give you free tickets if you want to come back. You just can't do a review. And I'm like, why on God's green earth? And I will say, we did go back a couple years later. We obviously didn't do a review. We were just wondering if it got better. Worse. Yeah. Typically, honestly, though, I feel like most haunts, for the most part, like us. I mean...
Yeah. A lot of times they'll say, thank you for, what you said, and they'll like, we're going to work on that kind of stuff. And a lot of times we'll go back and they actually do something about it, and...
Yeah, I mean, there's your online trolls that you'll get once in a while, but we're a small enough channel where we don't deal with that too much. But yeah, most haunts have been really respectful. There's only been that one, which was definitely the worst scenario. And there's been a couple other ones that are just kind of like, sorry, you feel that way. But for the most part, no. We don't get too much backlash. Only
That's good.
A couple times, yeah.
Well, again, and like I said, you guys are pretty known for like putting it out there and, like you said, being honest but doing it respectfully. And I think that goes a long way.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, we definitely try.
Before you guys leave today, though, don't tell me who you're talking about when we turn everything off. I want to guess because I think I might know.
I think you'll know too.
Yeah,
I think I might know, but I could be wrong because there's a few, and that's one thing that I've always tried to avoid with it because I learned kind of quick when I first got this gig over here. When I got the contract for OSR, Ohio State Reformatory, the first thing I did was I reached out to the Haunt Across Town Trail of Nightmares, and I reached out and said, "Hey, I'm Vic. I'm going to be running the prison. If you ever want to do some cross-promoting, let me know." Because they used to promote with us. We did a haunt in Crestline, Ohio called Mad Effects Lab. We ran it 2013 through 2015. Robert Kurtzman I used to work for him, so it was under his name.
Okay.
And we would like cross-promote with them. And there was another little haunt here in town called Hollow Wicked, I believe is what it was called. And a friend of mine, Rob, ran that, and his friend. And we would do cross-promoting with all them. So I just thought, why not keep doing that? Because it's like, if they're going to go to my haunt, they're going to go to yours.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just 10 minutes down 30. You know what I mean? So why not? Why not be cool about it? And he was like, oh, hey, he was cool about it and everything. He's like, and again, I won't mention names either, but the people that had the contract before me were not like that. They wanted nothing to do with anything. They were like, which whatever. Everybody does things different, but I'm kind of more of a, well, if I can help you out, I'll help you out.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you can help me out, help me out. I mean, it's just kind of a full circle type of thing, Why that time of the year, everybody's going. You know what I mean? Everybody's going. I talk to people all the time who've been to haunts all over that are in our lines. You know what I mean?
Well, that's always find interesting too, because, and again, I don't see it much, but like haunts that really like, it almost seems like they're competing more. And it's like, why compete when you could just help each other? And again, most people in this industry, like 90% or more of them are just awesome people that are just the most insanely passionate people we've ever met.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a bad apple in everything. There's only been a couple, bad apples that we've kind of encountered, but it's weird because they seem to be synonymous in the industry, and people will like naturally, like I won't even be talking about it, and like it'll just somehow naturally come up in the conversation. Well, this one person, like, oh yeah, we've had a run-in with that person. It is funny though too, because there's a few. The Trail of Nightmares, actually, they were on, I think, the first season we ever did a haunt talk, and they were the first people, because this is when Midwest Haunters Convention was still in Columbus.
Ohio. Oh, I wish I was still going on.
Yeah, me too, because that's why we usually don't make it to this one, because it's in Chicago now, and it's just so far, and it's like, and then I have to take off work, and then it's like, but I'd rather take it off for something else. But anyways, they actually walked up to me and were like, hey, we recognize you guys. And I'm like, really? Because again, we'd only done like one season at that point, and they talked to us. It's funny, we haven't done a review on them in a long time, because the last time we tried to go there, I think, was in 2019, and it monsooned when we were halfway through.
We got evacuated.
Into this giant garage, and I think we had to get here, and we're like, if we try to wait this rain out, we're not going to be able to make it to, because it was here in Mohican, which at that point was not called Mohican.
Yeah.
What did it used to be called?
It was the Lessons in Fear.
Lessons in Fear.
When it was called that. Yeah. So we ended up having to bail, so we couldn't do a review, because we only got to experience like 1/3 of the haunt.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to make it back to that one this year, because we haven't reviewed it in a long time, but I loved it when I went many years ago.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
They do a great job over there. They used to do that. They had their church thing that was really good. They have because they build different buildings throughout there, and it just looked great. I've never went through it during the season, because like he opens the same time I'm open, and he's not open. I just can't get there, but he always comes through, and like I think he's coming to Ink this year. That's what we're prepping for right now, is Incarceration, because we open the haunt for that.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. I do. Yeah. I've never been to that. But yeah, that's just a great example too of why you can't judge a book by its cover, because like the first time I went, and I'm like, this is probably not going to be the best. It's just some trail behind a store, like a storage garage.
Storage garages, yeah.
And then like after the first couple of scenes, you're like, okay, and then you start getting into like the bigger scenes, and you're like, oh my god, this is all back here. Wow, they really put a lot of work. And
they
again,
do.
This was like 8 years ago. I don't even know what it's like now.
Yeah, they're still on it. They're still doing it. He lost his partner, unfortunately. He passed away, I think, about a year and a half ago, maybe. And he was like the big part of it. But his wife is, kind of there too, so she's kind of taken over it. So Ed and Gloria, Ed and his wife, Sandy, and then Gloria run it, because her husband Boomer is the one who passed away, and he was a super sweet guy. And he's missed big time. But Ed's a great guy. I cross promote with him as much as I can. We keep talking about going to lunch. I was like, we got to go to lunch. I'm like, all right, we never do. But you know how that goes. But yeah, and then we got Mohican Haunted Schoolhouse over here. They're a little bit further away, but they're just literally right down the road. And they try to, they're upgrading their place every year, and they got a pretty cool schoolhouse building, which is they're in Perrysville, which is kind of this really small town. You know what I mean? So they don't go crazy, but they've from the first year I went, they've definitely made vast improvements.
Oh yeah, we haven't been there since 2021, but I know the first year to the last time we went, it's completely different.
Yeah. Little thing is that I actually went to their home haunt.
Oh, up in
when they used to have it in North Royalton, Strongsville area.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. I actually went through there a couple times, and it was really great. And then I found out that they were actually getting their own place and actually doing a full, professional haunt. And I was like, well, we have to check that
because
out.
I remember you telling me, like, in the leading up to that, be like, oh, hey, these people that used to do this are doing this thing now. We got to check it out. So I think we were there on their very first year too.
I
It was really awesome to be able to see the improvements from then to now.
It is, and if like even on my end, I remember the first year here, 2016. Like if you would have came through compared to now, that's what I tell them. Oh, we came back in 2016. Like, please don't judge me on that year. Come back now. You know what I mean? Because like the cell blocks were damn near empty back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had not much in there. Let's just put it that way. Now we're kind of overflowing everywhere in the cell blocks, which makes it fun, of course.
This haunt's had one of the biggest glow ups because there was a while there, like, and I don't remember what year, but we just kind of stopped coming because we were like, it's fine. But then I think it was 2018 maybe we came back and we were like, what the hell happened? Why is it so freaking good? Like, this is one of the ones that gets consistently some of the highest reviews. Every time we're like, oh, maybe we'll skip Blood Prison this year because we go there every year. But then I'm like, because I don't really like, do they get to win again? And then I'm like,
it's funny because last year,
well, you know, kind of what we're doing.
Well, last season we kept having people tell us you're gonna need to go to Blood Prison because we weren't gonna go to you guys last year.
Because they're like, it's so much better than last year. I'm like, but it was great last year. What do you mean it's so much better? And then we got like, I don't even know,
we literally,
our shit handed to us in the best way possible.
I know, and we leave the haunt and we're outside and we're like, that's haunt of the year. Like, what happened? Like,
I was almost annoyed by it.
We almost missed you guys.
Because I'm like, oh, well, all right.
I was annoyed. This kind of pisses me off. We got to get Blood Prison haunt of the year again.
Because I think, like, Chippewa was the one that was so great. And we're like, nothing's going to surpass that. And then we got done at this place and we were basically panting from being thrown around. We're like, we love that.
Yeah.
I love it, too, when I do the reviews on, like, places like this that offer the touch experience. And I have to preface it, like, because I'll say, like, all these horrible things that happen to me, like, and keep in mind, these are positive things.
Yeah. Well, we try to train everybody up because it's like not everybody gets touch passes, so it's like you've got to be good at both, you know. But touch passes definitely help. And like you said, Chippewa Lake, I love Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse. I love that haunt because it reminds me a lot of us in the sense of, and actually better because like when you get to walk down that path to get to the building and the weeds are high and it just
best walk up. Probably.
Oh, by far. I love that because you're just like, oh, and it's longer than you think it's going to be.
You feel like you're walking into a horror movie.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like you're going
like
into this creepy abandoned place, and you're like, oh, what's going to happen?
Yes.
And then you're like, oh, this is going to happen.
Yeah, it's the only haunt that even as many times as I go to it, like because they use so little animatronics, and so they just literally just let the environment be what it is, and it feels gross in the best way possible. Where you're just like, I feel like I'm not supposed to be here.
Yes.
But here I am.
Yeah. No, I love that. The plane and the out, like from they added all that on the outdoor stuff, and it's just like, it's great. They just, you know, and I know the owner because we talk from time to time, and he's like, I'm like, you could do so much more, like, because they're as far as people, he really restricts the people. Like he only sells so many tickets.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a part of it that makes it good. But I'm like, dude, this needs to be seen, man.
Yeah.
Open it up. And he's like, nah, we're just gonna keep doing it this way. But it works.
Yeah.
It works for him, man.
And it for sure does. Yeah, because I've talked to Vaughn a few times, and he's really good at what he does.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then of course Nightmare Cleveland.
Yeah.
They own that. We're actually going up there to their laser tag thing. Are you guys gonna check that out?
Not this time because we can't. We will be there because it's we'll be there Sunday to film for the documentary.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We're excited.
Yeah, we did it the last time, and it was really awesome. It was like almost like a beta phase. At least that's what they told us, because there's like certain things, and I think they're adding. Maybe I could be completely wrong. I think they might be adding like actual scoring for this time around and stuff.
That's what they were telling us, is that they were going to add like a scoreboard and stuff where you can actually keep track of your kills. And
that's a great example of Hans collaborating as well, because I know Fear Columbus came down. I love the naming too, because Fear Columbus is Nightmare Combat, and Nightmare Cleveland's is, I think it's Fear Warfare.
Fear Warfare, yeah.
So it's kind of funny, but I love how they collaborated, because it's actually funny. When we were there doing, waiting in line to do the laser tag thing, the whole team of Fear Columbus was leaving. And that's when And I was talking to them, and they said, they collaborated since they had been doing it for a couple years to help. And again, I just love that, because again, there's no reason to compete when everyone can just benefit.
Yeah, you're in Columbus, they're in Cleveland.
Yeah.
There's no real, and I've been to the Fear Columbus, and we've been there a few times, and that's why I told them up there, it's like, man, you guys better bring it, because Fear Columbus, that's a fun experience when they do that. That is a lot of fun. I haven't got
to do theirs yet. I really want to. I always forget about it, then it's like sold out when I go to buy tickets for it, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, they sell out quick.
Yeah, they do for that, yeah.
So what do you guys review the other stuff too, like Christmas events and Valentine's Day?
We try to go to different ones during different seasons if we can.
Yeah.
Sometimes, other things take precedent, but yeah, we do. We have a few Christmas ones that we've gone to.
Yeah, we actually have a review for this place for the one.
We came out here for a Christmas show.
One a couple years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
We did an Easter egg hunt at Carnage.
Oh yeah, that was a weird one. Yeah,
that was weird. Yeah.
You hear anything on them? I heard they got shut down.
No,
Yeah,
I think they
don't
posted
know.
that they're. I think they posted, or I heard that they plan on finding another building, which that just sucks for them.
Yeah,
But-
I went down and looked at their stuff.
Yeah.
After I heard, because I reached out to Mia and I was just like, "What's going on?" And she kind of explained it to me. I was like, "Well, I'm in Columbus. Let me swing by." So I swung by just to see what they had, because I didn't know if she'd be selling stuff off or whatever. But yeah, she kind of explained it to me, and I was like, "Yeah, kind of a, what are you gonna do?"
Yeah.
It is what it is, but it happens. Sometimes you just can't. You can't keep going. When you gotta get your own place and try to keep everything going. Haunted houses are hard to. It's hard to make money. I mean, it's got to be like,
Especially at first.
yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah.
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 It's hard to. You really got to give it the time to build it. To build, you've got to have that, because you're not gonna turn it around in 1 year.
No.
And that's it's a hard truth you got to face when you get into it.
I still think back to the first documentary we were Ryan Hated that used to do the schoolhouse. When one of the questions we asked was, what would you say for someone that's looking to start their own haunt? And his answer was, don't.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, well, there you go. Just be honest. He's like, don't do it. And then basically just this whole reason, list of reasons why it's a nightmare. If you really want to, this is the things you need to know. And it's like just like fire coding and stuff like that was eye opening. Like when we did the first documentary, in Blood View, how they're like a nonprofit haunt, and like the 10 grand plus sprinkler system they were forced to install because the other one wasn't good enough. Just like a lot of that stuff, and I'm like, that you wouldn't think of as just like a normal person walking through that kind of stuff necessarily, which is good, because something like what happened at Six Flags many years ago doesn't happen again. But at the same time, it's like that bar of entry for making a haunt just makes it impossible for a lot of people.
it is. It's good. Like you said, it's good because safety's got to be your number one priority.
Right.
Always, in anything really that you're doing I don't care if you open Walmart, people got to be safe when they're in there. You know what I'm saying? It's like safety's first.
Right.
But sometimes it gets to the point where we had to do sprinklers. I mean, if you walk around the cell blocks, the bottom, you'll see this black pipe going on. That's our sprinkler system. In the steel, concrete, and stone building that is not going to catch on fire.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you still have to do it. And we did it. You know what I mean? But that is the part that makes it hard. Most people want to start designing stuff right away. Like we got reached out to open up or to design a haunt. Hey, can you design this haunt? They had a really cool building. It was right here in Mansfield. And we were like, yeah, let's get a meeting together. So we get a meeting with these people that want to do it. They sit down and they were like, okay, so this is the theme. This is what we want to do. And we're just like, hold on a minute. Do you have parking? Oh, yeah, we got parking. You sure? Yeah, okay, good. Have you had city and codes come in and check the building out, make sure everything's safe? No, we haven't done that. Okay, have you called the fire department? Have you had them come in? Nope. It was like, well, go there first and then call us back.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it was, because it was like, there's no sense in talking about anything.
Yeah.
Until wherever you are, whatever, name the town, big city, small city, don't matter. They're going to want to come in there and make sure, hey, is your building up to code? Is the electrical right?
Yep.
All of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's always the first thing. And then you kind of get the dose of reality of, we got to rewire the whole building. We got to put in sprinklers. Now there are, from what I understand, there's ways around sprinklers, but I mean, it's like an exit every 50 feet, and it's just like, it's dang near impossible to do, but some people do it. Some people can make it happen.
The fire retardant spray that was so thick on the plants at the schoolhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. It was so gross. Now they have actually sprinkler systems and stuff like that in there. But when we did the documentary, he was showing us, and
everything was sprayed with that flame retardant stuff because of that. Yeah. So and it was thick.
It was like each leaf had this much on it. It was ridiculous. But yeah, that's how they kind of got around like certain areas and not having it. Yeah.
It's difficult because we still do all of that. Every set we make, every year, we recode everything. Even though I'm pretty sure code says you don't have to if you have sprinkler systems, but we do it anyways because we want to make sure that we're good to go. I had guys come in and we had these pallets and he was breaking pallets off and trying to start that wood on fire. And I was just like, dang, man. I mean, yeah, they ran me through the ringer.
Wow.
Pretty heavy, but they couldn't. It wouldn't start. I mean, it might start to catch and it just fizzle out, which is what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then there was other things, but it's better to be safe. You know what I mean? Because it's already kind of an old building, and it's there's things like there's posts in the cell blocks. You know what I mean? Which we pretty much cover up. Back in that day, though, cell blocks were kind of open, so you could run into that. You know what I mean? So we tried now to do everything as safe as we can. And we did back then too, but it was just kind of getting into it was eye-opening.
Yeah.
To say the least, because even the stuff I knew, I was like, didn't know that. Now we got to do that.
Yeah, I can't imagine just the amount of work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It is. But at the end of the day, it's fun. It's fun work. I tell my crew all the time, we're not building rockets and we're not curing cancer. So let's have fun. This is why we're here to have fun. We get to do these fun things. We're scaring people, because these guys take it seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They are passionate, and that's good to have on your crew.
Oh, for sure. And like I said earlier, you can always tell.
So do you guys ever, well, I guess you kind of already answered that, but do you guys go out of state every year, or do you just do that from time to time, or is it basically all Ohio?
Pretty much every year, because PA is extremely close to where I live. PA is only 30 minutes, the border is only 30 minutes from me. So we always go to PA. And since 2018, we always go to Halloween Horror Nights. That's more vacation. We do a review on it, but people never watch those videos. But we're we went there, why not? So we always have done that every year, except for 2020 when it didn't happen. But yeah, we've been for at least the last 3 years been trying to go somewhere that's further than that as well, a big one. Kentucky was an awesome one last year because there's it's a ridiculous
you could trip
amount.
over a haunted house in Kentucky.
It's 8 haunted houses all within a half hour of each other. It's just crazy. I mean, we did 4 the one night, I think it was.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. There's still more that we didn't get to do.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
What's the farthest you've traveled?
I mean, not including Florida, probably would be Philadelphia. Would probably.
Yeah, we went to Philadelphia, Eastern State.
Yeah, because. Yeah.
I've never been there. I want to check that out. I hear that's pretty killer.
Yeah, they've changed it a lot since we did it. I heard that they kind of screwed it up a little bit, but then they did listen to feedback, and I guess it's back to what it used to be.
Oh, really?
They got rid of touching and everything the one year, and they tried to make it more of a family-friendly oriented event.
Yeah, that's what I heard, yeah.
But I guess they've stepped back on that, and they went back to more of the way they used to do it, because when we did it, it was awesome.
Yeah. Because they would actually grab you and take you into separate rooms and stuff like that. At one point we got completely separated. I got taken into this ball pit area, and he got taken into a barber shop or something like that.
My hair all up, and they're spraying me with stuff in there.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, it was freaky because again, it's a big creepy prison.
Yeah.
It's also imposing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's in Philly, right? Isn't that downtown Philadelphia?
Philly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there. Cause we went the next day just to do a daytime tour as well, which was cool. Yeah, because that place is freaky because there's just a lot of stuff that weren't the best. I mean, a lot of these older prisons, but specifically there are some practices they had there that were messed up.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I think that was one of the places where they would put people in the chair with the razor, that thing in their mouth or whatever, and if they moved too much it would literally just slowly slice into their tongue, literal torture they would do at that place.
Yeah,
you when it was a functioning prison, you mean?
Yeah. You weren't allowed.
I was just
not at patrons.
Yeah, you weren't allowed to see other prisoners. They would put a bag over your head.
Yeah.
If you were to leave, if you had to leave your cell and stuff like that, and just a bunch of really messed up stuff.
Yeah.
That they
So
would
the
do
place
there.
is just super creepy vibes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I would say it's about equally creepy to this place.
Oh yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We went down to Tennessee recently, and we went to Brushy Ridge. I think it's called Brushy Ridge State Penitentiary.
Oh, I haven't actually heard of that one.
Oh, Brushy Mountain.
Brushy Mountain.
Mountain. Yeah, I've heard that place is pretty cool.
It is. It's pretty neat. It's not. I mean, it's not as big as us. I mean, building wise.
Yeah.
It's not Gothic. It's kind of more, but it's kind of nestled into these mountains, like right here. You know what I mean? It's like here's the prison, and then there's like just mountains. And it was built. It's old. It was built back in the 1800s, but they would do coal mining, and that's kind of was part of the funding for it. And then they would use prisoners as the coal miners.
Oh wow.
Okay, and you had to, the way the tour guide explained it was, you had to mine so much coal per day. If you didn't mine that coal, then the cage was still there. They'd put you in this cage, and they'd have these leather straps, and they'd beat the shit out of you with these leather straps.
Well then.
Yeah. Wow. And it was just like kind of like the same thing you guys were talking about. And they said from coal mining to coal mining to inmate on inmate stuff, they averaged like 2 deaths a week.
Ooh.
Like on average throughout its history.
That's a lot.
It was like 2 deaths, like, I don't know, 10,000 deaths or something. I was just like, man, I've heard some wild stories here when this was a prison.
Mm.
Yeah.
But some of them there too was just nuts. But it was a pretty cool prison. I'd definitely check it out. And it's in the middle of nowhere. It's an hour outside of Knoxville. But it's literally like middle of nowhere. You just tiny little towns. Think Perrysville, like where the Mohican Hunts. Think that.
I might have to check that out next time we do like a little like Pigeon Forge-ish Gatlinburg trip.
Yeah.
It can't be too far if it's only an
It really isn't.
Yeah.
No. And it's actually pretty neat because they have a distillery where they make their own moonshine.
Of course they do.
They got to have that, right?
Yeah.
But they have like a kitchen, and so we had lunch there the one day, and then they have like their gift shop where they sell all their moonshine, and they got this really big gift shop with all their merch and everything.
That's super cool.
It is. It's pretty badass, and they got like they're building like an RV park, so like you can like camp out there, and then they're building this giant convenience store, pizza shop. Like they were building it when we were there. The guy that owns it like showed us and walked us through it and everything, and it was pretty neat.
That's awesome.
And it's where James Earl Ray was held.
Oh.
So there was some
wow.
some stuff there too, and some of the guards, their tour guides now, kind of knew him and talked about him, and like talked about did he really shoot Martin Luther King? They don't think he did. You know what I mean? So there was like we're just like, okay. Here we go. Let's hear this. Talked about his escape.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. It's worth the trip.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Check that out. Brushy Mountain.
Yeah.
It was fun. You guys check it out. But no Halloween event, unfortunately. Same thing. Needs to put sprinklers in.
Yeah.
That's like everywhere. You know what I mean? I'm telling you.
Just put some sprinklers.
So yeah. Well, I mean, but it's good to have it, and kind of getting back to what we were talking about earlier. On the safety end of things, have you ever been to a prison I'm sorry, not a prison, but a haunted attraction where you were like, I'm not going to go back there. It's not dangerous. And you don't got a name drop or anything, but like, where you felt unsafe. You ever have that? And don't say Blood Prison.
There's only one haunt that comes to mind, and it's an outdoor haunt. And yeah, I won't say the name of it. I won't. But basically, you just kind of walk around in the woods, and you're not allowed to use a light at all. And there's no guided path. And there's like a tour guide, but you're not allowed to use a light. And there's just like tree branches coming out of everywhere, and like literal potholes. But like literally, like people were tripping, and we were trying to use our phone light because again, there's no actors. It's like you walk in between scenes. And there's no light, and you can't see a damn thing, and we kept tripping and, like, hitting things, and so we were trying just to look at the ground, and then they'd yell at us, like, start screaming at us, like, not in, like, a joking, theatrical way, but, like, in a serious, like, put that away, we're gonna, like, remove you from the attraction kind of thing, and it's like, I literally just fell. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, it's not safe. Like, something has to be guiding. It's not a path. You're just walking through the woods to go from scene to scene. That's interesting. Yeah, that was probably the most like unsafe I felt. And then when we tried to just be able to see what we were doing, we were told no. I don't know if we've ever been to a building where I'm like, this doesn't seem. There's some things that I'm not going to say the name of this haunt because we go there all the time that they do that I'm like, yeah, how can they be allowed to do this? Although there's a reason. I've been to those. There's a reason why I think.
Yeah, we think there's a reason why they can get away with the things they do.
But I love that place, though.
Yeah,
but I'm
I
hate it when I go to a haunt. When I go to a haunted attraction and I see something that's just so cool and so killer, and I'm like, I would never be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Like the fire guy would walk through and be like, no way.
Yeah.
You're not doing that. And I'm just like, oh man. That's what I hate. That's one thing where it's just like, how do you get away with that?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, this is kind of like, it does make you wonder. I mean, I guess if it's a smaller haunt, it makes sense because maybe they just didn't get found out. But like the bigger ones that do stuff like that, it's like, how?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the tricky part of it too. Is like when you're a bigger haunt, and you're doing high numbers, you can't. There's only so much you can do. Like I remember going through haunts where they stop you, and you sit there and you watch something for 3 minutes, and it's just like, man, if I did that, I'd have a backup.
Oh yeah.
All the way down. You know what I mean? It's just like, how do you do that? But then you combat waiting in line. Do you space your groups out? And it's either way, people are waiting. What do you guys think of the time ticketing? Ever since COVID, a lot of people started doing that, us included.
So that's a double-edged sword. For most people, I think good. For us, kind of a nightmare because when we're trying to hit 3 at night, 3 of them in a night, like let's say we want to go to Chippewa, and because Chippewa does the time ticketing, but Chippewa might only have a ticket for 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Then it's like, okay, but this haunt's an hour away, so now we got to either get to this one first and get there at this one, or go there and hope we can get there before close. How long are we going to be in line for? So, yes, it can keep wait times down, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes a lot of these places, it's time ticketing, but they let anyone who shows up just go in as long as they have the ticket.
Yeah.
We've seen that before. Some places do enforce it. So, like I said, it's kind of I get it, and I think for the general public that aren't trying to do 300 houses a night, which isn't most people probably, I would say it's fine. But for us, it's kind of a nuisance. But I also get why places do it because it lets them have a better experience as far as sparsing groups. Yeah,
we used to have 4 or 5 hour waits here, and it was
it's wild.
You can't get a good review because by the time they're in line for 4 or 5 hours, and they get to go in, then they're just have had it.
Yeah, so you get grumpy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you could have rainbows coming out of your ass and it wouldn't impress them. You know what I mean? And they're going to give you a bad review.
Right. There's not much that's worth waiting 4 hours in line for.
That's I kind of agree, For
me at least, yeah.
Well, and it's if you go to a show, a movie, a concert, whatever you want to call it, anything, you got to be there at a certain time. We're going to the 7 o'clock showing of, the new Ghostbusters or whatever. Right. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to do that. So it's it kind of makes sense, but our reviews have been better since we did it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Because, but then you got the people when you're look, we're trying to help you guys not stay in line for hours on end. So we're going to time ticket this. Oh, great. But then your tickets are at 8 o'clock. So we tell everybody, get here at, 7:50.
Right.
They always roll in at 7:15. And then, so we have kind of another, a off-stage queuing area because we enforce it. We're not the ones you got to take it, go ahead. Because we had a lot of people come to us and outside and say that. They're like, thanks a lot for enforcing this because we went to this haunt and we still had to wait 3 hours to get in.
Right, exactly.
And what is the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as people are enforcing it, I think overall for most people it is a good thing. Yeah. Especially because there's just no good answer when you get to the scale that you guys are, a lot of other haunts where it's there's really no other good answer to negate a 4 hour long wait. I mean, when you get that, the smaller haunts can afford not to do that stuff because they're smaller and they're not going to get that wait anyways. But then it's kind of your goal is to be successful, but then the more successful you get, the more troubles that it brings too.
That's true. Well, and I don't know. You're excited at first because when you roll up, I remember our biggest year, 30 out here, there's 2 exits. There used to be 2. And you could not, it was a mile to 2 miles down the road of cars waiting to get off to come here. You know what I mean? Because they were all coming. And it's, of course, on those big mid-October weekends, And you roll in, and it's exciting because there's all these people, and there's cars everywhere, and there's people, and then there's the vendors, and there's all this stuff going on. And you kind of get excited, oh, this is going to be awesome, and you roll up, and then you see all that people, in line, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You get in line. Even when you get in line, you're like, sweet, it's going to be badass. And then about 3.5 hours later, you're just like, we're still 20 minutes from getting in. I'm going to kill somebody.
Oh, yeah. I remember when I used to come to this place over a decade ago because we'd get here 2 hours sometimes before it even opened just so we could get in line because we'd wait in the gate. By the time we leave, the line would be all the way back to like the entrance gates.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, those people are going to be waiting till like 1, 2 in the morning
Easy.
at this point. Like, and I'm like, God, no. So yeah, in that capacity, I like the time ticketing because it means I don't have to show up to a haunt like 2 hours before they open, so I can be in a 2-hour line instead of a 4-hour line.
Right. Yeah, the way they're changing it up. So that's kind of the only good thing that came, because we still opened it during COVID. Because like we didn't run the cell blocks that year. I don't know if you guys came that year or not, but like we didn't have the cell blocks.
I think we did. We didn't go to many that year because a lot of them weren't doing it.
Yeah.
I feel like we did, because I think I do remember there being a year that the cell blocks were closed. And oh yes, because we ended up waiting in the rain for hours that year. Yes. I remember that.
Yeah, and it was nuts because we still we'll open. So we opened, and it was a good year. I mean, we did really well.
That
and it
year
was just
one of the busiest years I've ever seen for the haunts we went to.
Yeah.
Because people were like, please God, let me leave my house.
And then the year after that was even busier.
Oh yeah,
it was nuts. Mm-hmm. It was just crazy, and we were just like, okay.
Probably same effect as everyone is so diet cooped, and there's so many people that were probably scared to go in 2020. So everyone was like, let's go do fun things in 2021. I think every place.
Yeah.
Not even haunts, restaurants, everything in 2021 was just like, ugh.
Because COVID was so tricky with everything, because I got very irritated because I think our industry, not just haunted attraction, but entertainment, really got screwed because, Walmart was still open, Myers is still open, all those stores, Target, whatever you want to say, they're all still open. They didn't close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the whole, I would get pissed off and say, we're all in this together. It's like, no, we're not. You guys are still working. You guys are still open. Meanwhile, we're kind of screwed, and we were doing everything we could to make sure, God, I hope we can open. And then they didn't even announce if they were going to let haunted attractions open until September. The official word did not come down until September. So that's why we didn't have our cell blocks open. Because if we would have built all that.
Just for nothing, yeah.
And then they're like, no haunted attractions this year. Oh, man, I might not be here right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would have been bad.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that bullshit's over.
Yeah, I think
goodbye.
I think everyone of all political views can agree with that.
Oh for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when did you guys? How did you come up with? Tell me about the documentaries and the Spirit Light productions and everything. So where did that start?
So the Spirit Light production thing, I mean, honestly, that just kind of came from we just kind of wanted to make short films. It was kind of weird. I had bought just some crappy little handheld camera, and one day I was like, let's just go make a little found footage thing. It's not even on our main channel. And after I did that, I'm like, I really like this. And so then I went and spent a lot of money that I didn't have on camera equipment and stuff like that, and started making better looking films. And then, like I said, since I already had the camera equipment and I already loved haunted houses, that's when I was like, well, let's start doing these reviews. And it just kind of spiraled out from that.
Yeah.
Like I said, Haunt Talk has been the main bread and butter of our channel. We've tried to do other things like food reviews and stuff like that because we can't do haunt reviews year round.
Right.
And so that's why our channel is still kind of smaller, because it's that's the thing that people really came to our channel for. But our channel is so incredibly niche.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're not like the YouTubers, your normal YouTubers that are super, flamboyant's not the right word, but you know what I mean, where it's like, hey guys, welcome to our channel, that kind of thing. We're just actually trying to be human beings, which is not what YouTube likes as far as its algorithm.
Yeah.
But I just don't have it in me to just be a fake plastic. I don't know.
Get what you get. You get what you see.
So I mean, it does some of our stuff's done well. Besides the Haunt Talk, our most successful video is our one short film called Joan, which has about 500,000 views on it. That's definitely our that's what grew our channel enough to even be monetized, was that one short film, which I'm really glad. If there's one thing I could choose, that's the short film I'm most proud of, because it's very dark and depressing kind of short horror film, because it's very much about depression, stuff like that, and a lot of people it has resonated with very much. People that don't have it don't really get it, but people that do have depression, stuff like that, will always comment and be like, wow, you hit the way that it's done, you really hit the nail on the head and stuff with that. So I'm glad, even though that's not the main focus of our channel anymore, because most of it's haunt stuff related, that's kind of what grew our channel to the point where we can at least make a couple cents off of it, But
oh yeah, that's cool, man. YouTube, all of these channels, from YouTube to TikTok, Instagram, they're all hard now to like really.
It's oversaturation.
Yeah, it's like everyone's like, you can make money at this, and then everybody just barrels in. You know what I mean? So now it's everybody's doing it, and it's not as easy.
It's not, because you really do have to. It's almost like playing a game. If your focus is to make money on YouTube, you can't just go in doing necessarily what you want to do. You have to play the game, which is YouTube. Right. You have to have that personality. You have to have those clickbait thumbnails, that clickbait title.
Yeah.
Or just 99% of the time, your video is just going to just fall into the ocean of other videos.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, just doing this, because we're on YouTube and we're on Spotify and, Apple iPods and all that good stuff. But, I mean, it's not, it's not like, you going to make money in this? I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. Right. I just like talking to people that like Halloween and haunted attractions. And, everybody's got a podcast. Why the hell can't I have one? You know what I mean? So why not? Let's do it. It's fun. I used to work in radio, so it's like this is kind of like a thing that I wanted to do, and it's just a good time. So now I get to sit and talk to people like you, and bounce ideas, and it helps.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's the most important thing, is that you're having fun doing it. Like, I mean, we had fun doing like the food reviews and stuff too, but it's like we're doing all this and it would get like 40 views, and it's like, we can just go do this and enjoy not doing that, because I don't know if I'm adding anything. We've thought about doing a second channel that is like completely just different than like the focus of this, but then that's a lot of work as well. But like, I mean, at the end of the day, technically, yes, our channel's monetized, but we make so little off of it. It's more of just because of the passion, and it gives us an excuse to, I guess, if we're being honest. And it's like, oh, well, yes, we're spending like literally thousands of dollars in travel and going to all these haunts, because again, we pay for 90% that we go through, even though like we've had a lot of people like criticize that, oh, you don't, like, no, we pay for most of them we go to, and we usually have to buy fast passes to do like 3 or 4 in a night. And my God, it's like a lot of these haunts are like $50 to $100, especially when you go to PA. What is wrong with PA?
Gosh.
The prices.
They're so expensive.
Like Reaper's Revenge, we haven't been there yet, but it's like a $60 base ticket.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure it's worth it, because I mean, it's like an hour-long haunt, but I'm like, but all the PA haunts are like $50 a minimum for a base ticket, and it's like, when you're trying to do as many as we do, and I'm like,
yeah.
It's like, just shell out $200 a night just to go to like 3 haunts.
When we went to East Coast, I took the one class. It was about safety in haunts and the fire codes and all that stuff. And they have like this, I think it's for some reason the agricultural bureau, the Bureau of Agriculture, I think monitors haunted houses in Pennsylvania. So you've got to go to like a class, and you got to take their class, and you got to get all these certifications in order to do all that. And I was sitting there just like, holy shit. So I'm not saying that is why, but that might have something to do with it. Because they might have to just do a ton of shit to get open. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah. It's just weird that, also like you do notice that in like areas where it seems like it's almost kind of like how some gas, this is a weird thing to compare it to, but how some gas stations would do it. It's like, oh, well, the Sheets in their area, their gas is priced at this, so all the other ones will match it. Where I think it's a similar thing where it's like, oh, your Eastern State Penitentiary prices at this, so all these other haunts are like, well, if people are paying in droves to go that, we can charge something similar. But it's weird because, like, I understand paying that much for a haunt that's that big of a production, but then you go to Joe Schmo's haunt that's like only $5 less, and it's like a fourth of the time, and it's like, was this what that ticket should have been priced as?
Yeah.
Like, is it?
Yeah.
What are we doing with that money?
Yeah, I get it. And that's the thing too. Even in our building's huge, but it's like we go through and somebody, well, how long does it take to get through? I'm like, it just depends, man. I've seen people get through in a half an hour. I've seen people get through in 45 minutes. So we say 40 minutes on average. Yeah, 40 minutes.
About that.
But it's like constantly, it's like we need more walk time. We need to keep people in here longer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to, that's the trick of, people like, well, you're paying this much, and I got through in, 35 minutes. Well,
I still think it's weird because I always feel like, well, it might be because we do the touch pass here as well, where weirdly, I always feel like I've been in here longer than because I always time on my watch, just because since we're doing the review to see how long we were in, and it's usually about 35 minutes. And I always think it's longer than that because it feels like, it feels like you go through so many areas of this haunt. And when you do the touch pass, it is so intense where I think it's like the perfect time where like usually, and this is weirdly one of those things that's only a good thing when you're talking about haunted houses. I'm glad when it's done. And again, usually when you say that, if it's about a movie or something, you're like, oh, it's a bad movie. It's like, no, a haunt did it right. When it ends, you're like, I'm fine with that. Cool. Let's leave.
I'm
good.
So like, that's like the best compliment I can give if you've exhausted me.
Well, the first year here for us was the very first year that they took the front of the building away. So I don't know if was here before, but like before me, you would go through the front of the building. You'd come up on that porch, and then you go up them steps, and you'd walk through the front, like the admin area. Mm-hmm. And they did a bunch of stuff up there, and that was where it was probably the best. Was in there.
I would agree. When I was here before, that's probably what I liked the best before you guys took it over.
Absolutely, but when we took it over, they took that away because it's a constant restoration. So they're restoring the building.
Gotcha. Yep.
So it's like we can't, restore it and then have, haunted house guys in there, running around and throwing shit and stuff like that. So it got shrunk down considerably. So that's always been like the basement. Like the basement, we've added so much walk time in the basement because before they would just go in. And it was like a loop. You go down the steps, you'd hang a right, a left, and you'd go through this one area, and then you would back out the side. Well, now we go down the steps to the right, down to the other side of the basement, and we got a couple rooms over there. We split that hallway, and then we come out, and I Disney World the exit because they used to come out to the parking lot, and I was like, we got to come out by the gift shop.
Oh,
I mean, that's how,
Yeah, you did used to. You did used to exit.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and like they would put a shirt shack out there because our very first year, that's how we did exit when I was still with Kurtzman.
Disney World.
Yeah, but because I was the very first time I went to Disney World, it's like,
oh yeah,
smart.
How the hell did we end up in the gift shop?
Yeah,
did we get lost? We would always turn around and be like, I think we took a wrong turn or something. No, they exit you through the gift shop to buy more shit.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, that's what we got to do, and we started doing that, and of course, merch sales went up and everything.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it was the constant battle of keeping people in longer. When you've got these giant cell blocks, it's just like, how do we keep them in here longer? Well, you throw more shit in there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's right. Yeah, that's basically what we tried to do. So I always ask everybody that comes on the show because it's all about Halloween and horror. So what's your favorite horror movie?
Ooh.
That is always such a hard question. I have a default answer. I never know if it's right. Do you want to go first?
Go ahead.
You go first.
I would probably say my favorite is The Thing.
Okay.
There's a lot. So I usually have two answers. The Thing is like my classic. Like I respect the hell out of that movie because the practical effects. I mean, it won a ton of awards for it. I also love isolation movies. And it just shows because like that movie, even though the effects are grand, especially for the time, and also I love that there's like no because it's older, so there's no CG.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be, but it's mainly all practical, right? And that's the best. Even if it's derpy looking practical, I like it better than CG because I know that someone made that.
Right.
Someone put their blood and sweat into that. And now don't get me wrong, CG still takes a lot of work, but I just love that, and I also just love isolation, like simple stories. It's not a complex. It's just kind of like this bottle drama mixed with body horror, and I love that. My second place answer for a new school movie is I love like dark stuff. I love Hereditary. That's like if I had to pick like my favorite newer movie, it would be Hereditary because that movie shook me to my core. I love that, but overall, I love like older horror movies and the aesthetic of them. So that's why I usually say The Thing is kind of would probably be my favorite.
Kim, what about you?
Well, I've always had a thing for anything that's paranormal related. So I would have to say my favorite horror movie is Poltergeist.
Oh,
that's a really good choice too, though.
That's
great.
Can't go wrong there.
Just the build up that it gives you, and just again the practical effects that they do in that movie, and like even some of the CG that they do in that movie.
It's that charming, like kind of bad, but you still love it.
Yeah,
like, era of CG.
Sometimes
like,
the bad CG though is good because it really wouldn't be that crisp and clean,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The move to 4K sometimes ruin things, or things almost too clear, and it makes it like Because that's what they always say, and I think that's why I was talking to you earlier about why solitary is one of the scariest parts, and even though there's really nothing there but darkness and people, it's because your mind fills in the blanks.
Yes.
Yeah,
And a lot of these movies, and that's why found footage is so scary, because most good found footage movies don't show a lot, but it's the little glimpses you have, and your mind fills in the horror, and that's what really gets people.
The psychological stuff is usually the most scary.
For sure, yeah.
Because, it's getting you here. You know what I mean? Rather than just I'm surprised, actually, because, like, from the haunt talk, I figured Evil Dead would be in there somewhere.
I like Evil Dead a lot. I tend to
the Book of the Dead.
I do love the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I tend to like my horror movies a little more on the serious side, I guess. I mean, I love like all kinds. I mean, Evil Dead 2 is not serious. Evil Dead 1 definitely has a more serious tone.
Yeah.
And then the remake of Evil Dead is messed up but awesome.
Yeah.
It's one of the best horror remakes, though. Like, that thing's
For
gross.
sure.
I mean, literally, when it rains blood, it's just a fire truck filled with fake blood that they just have a hose up. That's how they did that. Just a hose.
Yeah.
It's just a giant hose just spraying everyone down with blood.
Like you do.
Sounds like, that's how we would do it, for sure.
Because his whole thing was he wanted to pay homage to the original, and there's almost no CG in that movie. Everything's done with, like, disgusting practical in the remake as well. So,
yeah, horror movies, I love the older things, the older movies, because I love, like, if you even like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, like, the first two are actually kind of good.
Oh, yeah.
And then they just start getting campy.
Yeah.
And all the lines... the Freddie, almost said Freddie Mercury, the Freddy Krueger lines.
a little different.
Yeah, right. Like, just get out there with just like, he keeps, saying these little quippy remarks to the people in the dreams. And, and it's just like, okay, it's funny, but it's like, it's not really scary. You know what I mean? I think horror movies, when you get a good one, it's good.
Yeah.
But everything is, they always want to mix humor with it now, or since the 80s, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I don't either, and I think that's why I like the A24 like type films like Hereditary, because there ain't much humor in that movie.
No.
That movie is.
Gosh.
Have you seen that
There's
movie?
no
I've heard of it, but I haven't.
You should watch that.
Yeah.
You won't laugh. You won't laugh.
No laughing?
No laughing allowed.
That's probably, I will say, there's a scene in that movie that happens that I went to see that in theater twice, which I don't rewatch movies very much. That tells you how much I like that movie. There's something that happens in the movie, and I've never heard a theater just go so silent for so long. It is such a disturbing, shocking thing. And, and it's like there's a noise where he makes it, and then it's just like for the next like 15-ish minutes, it's just like so dark and depressing where everyone shut the hell up. And I'm like, and these are like full theaters too.
Yeah, like I was looking around in the theater because I went with him to see it one time, and I'm looking around and everybody's just like so somber, and you're just like,
so you don't get that very much.
No, that's
anymore.
rare.
Yeah.
But that is good.
Yeah.
You know, you've accomplished what you're going for if that's the case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love going to the movies. I love going to the movies and seeing that stuff. But like now everything's on Netflix and but like sometimes you can find even on streaming some gems that you would never see in a movie.
Oh yeah,
and find some good shit there.
Yeah, I'm surprised sometimes the things I'll find that I'm like, well, this looks terrible, and I'll watch it, and I'm like, the first Hell House movie, if you like found footage, that's a really creepy found footage movie.
Yeah,
which is really cool too. It's like the perfect movie for me because it's literally a found footage movie. They're documenting them making a pop-up haunted house.
Oh, cool.
But then the place is, of course, actually haunted, and it spirals out of there. There's a second and third one, which then definitely go more campy, but the first one's like legitimately like real spooky and like super cool vibes. And I think whoever made it, like, I don't know if they've made a haunted house before, did a lot of research, but there's a lot of stuff that happens in that actually is like, oh, if you're an enthusiast or someone that makes haunted house, you'd be like, okay, no, that makes sense because they're kind of talking about logistics and stuff like that too, which I like. That's there.
I hate it when you see a preview and you're like, this is going to be awesome, and then you get there and you're just like, what the fuck? What are you?
They showed you like the two good scenes in the preview. Yeah,
he won't watch. Like we always go late when we go to movies because he doesn't want to see the previews from movies coming up because he doesn't want it ruined because a lot of times they show the best scenes.
Unless you make an amazing trailer like Long Legs.
Yeah,
that's how you make a trailer if you haven't seen that. But
what is it?
Long Legs. It comes out Friday actually. The trailer for that is.
Yeah.
It doesn't show like really anything, but it's just like the vibes are like, oh, this movie's going to be messed up.
Yeah. Do you remember the Blair Witch Project? Remember when that came out? Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, this is real, and it's going to be this real movie. And then I'm like, all right, let's go check it out. And then it's like, this is lame as shit, man. I'm sorry. I thought it was bad.
I didn't like it very much. I also say it's funny, my mom forced me to go, because I was obviously really young, and the only seats available were literally front row.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
God.
That camera just...
And you're like...
Yeah.
Horrible experience. I can appreciate it for what it is, but especially for the time, but that movie definitely is kind of boring.
Oh, yeah. But but some of those... Like, with that movie in particular... Because it cost nothing to make.
Oh, yeah.
And then they made just millions and millions of dollars, you know what I mean? Then they tried to make the sequels and, it didn't work out. But we went and saw this movie. It's not really a horror movie, but it was called Open Water. And it was about this couple that go on a vacation, and they go scuba diving, and they get left in the water. Mm-hmm. And because they kind of go off and do their own thing, because they're not professional divers, but yeah, we know what we're doing. So they go off and they scuba dive. Next thing you know, they come back and there's no boats anywhere. And they're 10 miles in the middle of the ocean. And they don't realize they're gone. So then it's sharks are swimming around. But they really did it kind of cool, because I remember at the beginning, it showed them leaving their house. It shows them close up of them locking the door. Close up of them, watering the plants before they leave. And all these things that we've got to do this before we get back, so everything's good. But they ain't coming back. Yeah. And they both get eaten by sharks. Oh. And the whole time you're just waiting, because it's not like Jaws, you know what I mean? But you're just kind of waiting for that, and it doesn't happen, and you're just like, oh God, here we go. And then it's just no shit. But the psychological part kind of kept the same thing, made millions of dollars and cost nothing to make.
There's not much scarier than the ocean, also.
Oh, I don't...
no thanks. People that go on cruises, no thank you.
Oh, I can't do it. I can't. I'm a little bitch about that stuff, man.
Yeah, look up the poop cruise sometime if you want a fun little...
No, see, I don't want to do that now.
But you don't want to go on a cruise anyways.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. I've been on cruises, and I mean, yes, sometimes they're fun, sometimes they're not. It really depends. But now that I watched the thing that he mentioned, I don't want to go on one.
Planes don't freak me out, because if it goes down, I'm probably going to just die on impact. But a cruise, I don't know. That seems... I'm good.
I'm taking the whole door over.
I'm not a big, right? Not cool, man. There's room for me up there, dude. What are you doing? Nope, sorry.
I think it's really funny that James Cameron actually got really upset that people say that, and he did a whole thing showing how physically it wouldn't be possible for him to be at that door, because he's James Cameron.
Get over it, dude.
Yeah, it's really funny.
That's just, I don't like flying. I mean, I'll fly. I fly probably,
love it, but,
every year. But, you ever going to go to Hawaii? I'd love to go to Hawaii, but you see, flying over water is something I just don't want to do. You know what I mean?
The length of the flight, too.
And you're in this tube for, 5 hours over water. Yeah. That's 3 miles deep.
Yeah. I went on a cruise to Hawaii.
You went on a cruise there?
It took 3 days just to get to Hawaii.
Oh, my gosh.
Just imagine being on open water. You see nothing but water for 3 days.
Imagine being left there.
Mm.
Oof. That happens. Anyways. Oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you ever get real choppy or anything like that? Yeah. See, I get seasick already, so I just be like.
Once we got to the islands, we actually couldn't dock at one of them because it was so choppy. They couldn't take the little boats out to take us to the actual island, because they couldn't take the ship up to the island, and it was so rocky they couldn't put the little boats out, because literally they would capsize.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
So
thank you.
It was it was really bad. No.
Would you guys do a haunt review in Hawaii?
Well, there's that one, the Haunted Plantation is what it's called, right? That's in Hawaii.
There's actually quite a few haunted houses.
Oh, really?
That's the one I know of, because you had it on your
I think there's
list.
5 on the mainland, and I think there's a couple on some of the smaller lands.
So if we ever go there, sure. Why
there
not?
You go.
Yeah.
Do it as a write-off somehow. Write it off somehow. We got to go to Hawaii. Just take a sedative. That's what I would do. It's I'm going to take a sedative. Wake up in Hawaii.
Take whatever they give me when I have to get a tooth pulled or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember that day. That's a good idea.
What about Alaska? They got haunts up there?
I think they do have 1 or 2. Not many, but they have 1 or 2, I think.
Yeah, I think they have 1
That would be rough up there. That would be rough.
Yeah.
To open one of those up there. Not a lot of people.
I'm good on going to Alaska, I think. That's not a top of my priority.
No?
Yeah, I don't like
I'd like to go to see it once. I'm not a fan of cold either. Go in August.
I saw 30 Days of Night. I don't know.
Oh. That would be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I could handle that.
No.
I'd probably lose my mind and go insane.
A lot of people do. Imagine if you especially when you have 30 days of sundowning. Oh my God.
So what's on the agenda for this year, guys? You gonna come and see us?
Yeah, I mean, like, we plan on it at least, because we want to hit Trail of Nightmares and probably Mohican again too. So try and hit all three because we haven't done those for a while.
Right on.
Yeah, and then obviously the second well, like I said, it's not going to be a whole film, but working on that is our big thing right now. Is getting the, if you want to call it a documentary, done, but our like sequel, if you will, to Haunt Behind the Scare. So. Oh
yeah. All right. Well, we would love to have you back. Just let me know when you guys are going to come, and we'll hang out. I'll get you a shirt. All right. She said she didn't have a shirt. You go work at the Ohio State Reformatory.
Yeah, you don't have a Blood Prison shirt.
Yeah. She goes, I don't have a Blood Prison. I was like, well, I wish I would have known. I would have made sure and had one ready for you. But no, you guys are great, and I appreciate you coming down and doing this. Probably going to bring some other reviewers on just to get their perspectives too. But, just keep doing what you guys are doing, because it's not about, again, it's about the getting that information and seeing what you guys see, because that helps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the way you guys do it, and it's just, the way you articulate your reviews is really good. You know what I mean? The way you explain it, and this is why we do this, and this is what we thought here. It makes sense, and it really, you guys really come off like you put a lot of thought into it, and you're not just going for a free trip through a haunted house.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's never been, the thing. And again, since we pay for most of them, but like, that's the other thing is like, we try to like shorten our reviews and stuff, but we're like, because we know that our reviews might not be for everyone. It's going to be people that are closer to enthusiast level. Weirdly enough, a lot of our viewers are people that work haunted houses. They're the ones that I think make up a big majority of our audience. But I also like tag everything, so people basically just want the scores and the cliff notes. They can just go click the little links in the video if they don't really want to see a 20-minute in-depth review. If they just want to know the basics, they can just go, oh, what did they give this? What did they give this? And they can be done with it. But for the people that really want to dig in, they can watch us yammer on for the whole 20 minutes as we usually gush about the different haunts. So. Yeah.
Well, you got to know. I mean, exactly what you guys saw, or you know what I mean, what you thought about it. So just to go, okay, give me my rating. You know what I mean? Hey, I got an 8 out of 10. Sweet. You know what I mean? Yeah, but why? Why didn't I get a 10 out of 10? What the hell happened? All right, let's go back and see what the hell's going on here. You know what I mean? But no, thanks, guys, for coming down.
Absolutely.
Would love to have you back on maybe down the road, and let me know when you guys are going to come this year. I think you guys will enjoy the Trail of Nightmares again. I know you said it's been a while. Yeah. Ed works hard to make that haunt what it is, and he's come a long way. So, yeah. Thanks for coming down, and you guys be careful going home, and we will see you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.